From a distance, the moon appears calm, timeless, almost gentle. A pale disk suspended in Earth's sky, unchanging and familiar. It has watched over our planet for billions of years, shaping tides, stabilizing climate, guiding calendars and myths. From afar, it seems silent, inert, and welcoming, a place waiting patiently for our return. But this calm is an illusion. Up close, the moon is one of the most hostile environments humanity has ever attempted to inhabit. Not because of storms or earthquakes, not because of oceans or weather, but because of something far smaller, something that clings to everything it touches, something that never rests. Lunar dust. It lies everywhere, across the ancient plains, inside the deepest craters, along ridges where sunlight has not touched in billions of years. The moon is coated in it, a fine, gray powder created by relentless bombardment. For eons, meteoroids have slammed into the lunar surface at tremendous speeds, shattering solid rock into microscopic fragments. Without air, without water, without erosion, those fragments remain sharp, jagged, and unchanged. Each grain is a relic of violence, each particle a memory of impact. On Earth, dust is shaped by water and wind. It is softened, rounded, and made harmless by time. On the moon, no such mercy exists. Lunar dust has edges like broken glass. At microscopic scales, it is abrasive enough to damage metal, tear fabric, and scar skin. It is not merely dust. It is a planetary hazard. During the Apollo missions, astronauts learned this lesson almost immediately. Dust clung to their suits, coating them in gray after only a few steps. It worked its way into joints, seals, and connectors. It scratched visors. It clogged filters. It infiltrated every mechanical system exposed to the surface. When the astronauts returned to the lunar module, the dust came with them. Inside the cabin, into the air, onto their skin. They could not escape it. The dust irritated their eyes. It burned their throats. It lingered in their lungs. Some astronauts described its smell as metallic, sharp, like spent gunpowder. Others reported coughing fits and persistent discomfort. And these were men exposed for only hours at a time. Future lunar settlers will be exposed for years. Lunar dust behaves in ways that defy intuition. Under constant bombardment by solar radiation and ultraviolet light, dust particles become electrically charged. Without an atmosphere to neutralize them, they cling to surfaces with electrostatic force, sticking to metals, plastics, glass, and fabric. It does not fall away naturally. It resists cleaning. It seeks contact. In the moon's weak gravity, dust moves differently. When disturbed, it does not settle quickly. It drifts. It floats. It lingers, suspended for long moments, guided by electrical forces rather than air currents. Every step kicks up clouds that take far longer to settle than they would on Earth. Every rover pass leaves behind a lingering haze. Every landing sends dust flying outward at high speed, sandblasting everything nearby. The moon's surface is not quiet when disturbed. It is abrasive. Dust infiltrates systems relentlessly. Airlock seals degrade. Mechanical joints grind. Optical sensors blur. Radiators lose efficiency. Solar panels, critical for survival, become coated, reducing power generation. Thermal systems fail as dust insulates surfaces meant to shed heat. Over time, small inefficiencies compound, cascading into major failures. On Earth, these problems would be inconveniences. On the moon, they are existential threats. For human bodies, the danger is no less severe. Lunar dust is small enough to penetrate deep into the lungs, where the body has little ability to remove it. Unlike Earth, where gravity and biological processes help clear particulates. Lunar dust may remain embedded in tissue, causing chronic inflammation, scarring, and long-term respiratory damage. Eyes are vulnerable. Skin is vulnerable. Lungs are vulnerable. Every exposure carries risk. Future lunar habitats must remain sealed, clean, and stable for long durations. Air quality must be preserved. Filters must be reliable. Maintenance must be constant. Every excursion outside becomes a calculated risk, not only for the individual, but for the entire habitat. Dust carried back inside threatens everyone. There is no room for carelessness. And yet, dust is unavoidable. The moon has no soil in the earthly sense. Its surface is regolith, a loose mixture of rock fragments and dust extending meters deep. Every footprint disturbs it. Every construction effort churns it. Every vehicle spreads it. Unlike Earth, the moon cannot heal its surface. Every disturbance leaves a scar. Landing spacecraft present an even greater challenge. Rocket exhaust scours the surface, blasting dust outward at extreme velocities. Particles become high-speed projectiles, capable of damaging nearby habitats, vehicles, and instruments. One poorly placed landing can endanger an entire settlement. Infrastructure must be spaced carefully. Landings must be controlled. Dust mitigation becomes a matter of geometry and planning, not just engineering. Engineers have proposed countless solutions. Electrostatic dust shields to repel particles. Advanced coatings that resist adhesion. Self-cleaning surfaces that shake dust free. Airlock systems that isolate contamination. Magnetic and electric fields to control dust flow. Each solution helps. None solve the problem completely. Every mitigation adds complexity. More systems mean more failure points. More mass means higher launch costs. More energy demands mean greater strain on limited power supplies. The moon does not reward overconfidence. It punishes oversight. Some propose retreating beneath the surface. The moon is believed to contain vast lava tubes, ancient volcanic tunnels that could provide natural shelter. These underground spaces offer protection from radiation, temperature extremes, and micrometeoroids. They also reduce dust exposure. But even underground habitats require entrances, interfaces, contact with the surface. Dust always finds a way in. Despite all this, humanity persists in its ambition to return. Because the moon is more than a destination. It is a proving ground, a laboratory for survival beyond Earth, a test of our ability to adapt to hostile environments. If we cannot live on the moon, we cannot live anywhere else. Lunar dust teaches us a humbling lesson. The greatest challenges are not always dramatic. They do not roar. They do not explode. They do not announce themselves. They accumulate. On Earth, dust is swept aside. On the moon, dust defines existence. It shapes architecture. It shapes behavior. It shapes survival. Every future lunar settlement will be built not only against vacuum and radiation, but against dust older than humanity itself. As humanity prepares to return to the moon, not as visitors, but as residents, the ancient regolith waits patiently. It has waited through impacts and eons, through the rise and fall of species, through the birth of civilization. It will wait for us. Whether humanity thrives on the moon or struggles against it may depend on how well we understand this silent adversary. Not a storm, not a quake, not a blaze of fire, but dust, sharp, ancient, everywhere. And in learning to live with it, we may finally learn what it truly means to live beyond Earth.